In this movie, I'll show you how to take the 3 ellipses we've created so far and convert them into what's known as compound paths, which are paths that have holes inside of them. So let me start off by explaining what compound paths are, and then I'll show you how to make them. Switch over to this demo file, which is called compoundpaths.ai, found inside the O5 Shapes folder. And you can see what we have here is the first 4 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D. An A is actually 2 path outlines working together. So you've got one path outline describing the outside of the A and another one describing the inside of the A. A B is actually 3 path outlines, one describing the outside and 2 describing the inside. A C is just 1 path outline, so it doesn't really apply to this discussion, but it's interesting to see that some letters are made that way. And then a D has 1 path outline and then 1 path on the inside, so 2 altogether. Now, if we take all of the paths and fill them with this exact same shade of dark gray, we can still read the letters, especially when they're stroked and we're seeing the letters very large. But if we were to reduce the size of the letters, they wouldn't make any sense at all. So you might figure I'm going to go ahead and twirl open this text demo layer inside the layers panel. And you can see that just one item is displayed so far. I'll go ahead and turn on the next group down. So you might figure what you do is you just go ahead and fill the inside paths with white. And that's what I've done in this case. So the inside of the A is filled with white. The 2 inside paths in the B, they're filled with white. And the inside of the D is filled with white as well. However, here's the problem. What if the background isn't white? I'll just go ahead and turn on a couple of other objects down here at the bottom of the layers panel, which describe this fairly loud background. And you can see right away that filling the insides of the letters with white just doesn't do us any good. What we need instead is for the insides of the letters to be transparent, as in the case of this final line of type. And what's happening is that the inside of the A, for example, is cutting a hole in the outside of the A. And the inside paths of the B are cutting 2 holes inside of the outside of the B, and so forth. And that, friends, is what is meant by a compound path. So let me show you how to make one. I'll go ahead and switch over to our illustration at hand, which I've named initialellipses.ai. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit and scroll down. We'll start things off by clicking with the black arrow tool. Notice I've gone ahead and switched back to the black arrow, which of course you can get by pressing the V key. And I'm going to start things off by clicking on this innermost ellipse, the last one we drew. And then I'll go up to the edit menu and choose the copy command, or press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac, because we'll need to bring it back later. Then I'll go ahead and shift-click on the next ellipse outward, which was the second ellipse we drew, in order to select it as well. And I'm going to change the line weight of both these paths, this value next to the word stroke up here in the control panel, to 4 points, so we get some thicker outlines. And then I'll go to this fill swatch, which is the first swatch in the control panel, and I'll change it from white to black. And that goes ahead and fills both those paths with black. What I want is for the forward path to cut a hole in the rear path. So I'll press the Enter key or the Return key on the Mac to hide that pop-up panel. And then I'll go up to the Object menu, choose Compound Path, and choose Make. And that's what you do. This is kind of a weird process here to have to dig this deep into the menus, and it's not necessarily very intuitive, I must say. But what happens when you choose the Make command is you use the forward path in order to cut a hole in the rear path. And Illustrator automatically considers such a path to be a single path outline. Even though we see it to be 2 paths, that is one big ellipse with a smaller ellipse inside of it. If you were to twirl open this drawing layer, you would see that this item is now a single item. You can't twirl it open as if it were a group or something else. It's a single compound path. And that's the way Illustrator regards it. All right, now we want to do the same thing with the outside path. We want a hole cut in it as well. So I need to bring the hole back by selecting this shape, first of all, by clicking on the outermost ellipse. And then going up to the Edit menu and choosing the Paste in Front command, where you press Control-F or Command-F on the Mac. And that goes ahead and pastes a copy of the path. You can see it right here inside the Layers panel. Now I'll go ahead and shift-click on the outermost ellipse. So we have 2 ellipses selected, the one we just pasted into place and the outermost ellipse. Let's go ahead and once again change the stroke weight. And you can do that by clicking on the down pointing arrowhead and choosing 4-point from a menu if you prefer. And let's also change the fill color. First swatch up here in the control panel from white to red. That goes ahead and creates 2 ellipses filled with red on screen. turn them into a compound path, go back to the object menu, choose compound path, and choose make. Now notice, just FYI, there's a keyboard shortcut of Control-8 or Command-8 on a Mac. You might think offhand that makes no sense at all, just completely arbitrary keyboard shortcut, except for the fact that an 8 is a classic number that's a compound path, right? It's got the outer path that's kind of a snowman with no head, and then it's got two circles on the inside that are cutting holes. So anyway, that's one way to remember that keyboard shortcut, Control-8 or Command-8 on a Mac. And now we have these two path outlines. You can see them listed right here inside the Layers panel. We've got the inner one right there, and notice that it's got a hole in it, so it's a ring, and then we have the outer one that's a ring as well. All right, I'm going to press Control-Z or Command-Z on a Mac to undo that move. Just one more thing I want to do for the sake of cleaning up this illustration. I'm going to Control Spacebar click or Command Spacebar click on the Mac in order to zoom in. And notice here, if I were to switch to the wide arrow tool, which I can get by pressing the A key, and I were to marquee, that is, draw a rectangular marquee around these points, that there are an awful lot of points going on, and they are not coincident. That is, they are not exactly aligned with each other. By coincident, I mean directly on top of each other. They occupy the same exact space. Well, we can align them. They're all currently aligned vertically, so we just need to align their horizontal locations. And you do that by going up to the Control panel, and you click on this icon right there, Vertical Align Centers. That will bring them vertically to the same location. So you want the Vertical Align Center icon. Go ahead and click on it, and you will now have a series of 4, as it turns out, coincident anchor points. All right, now I'm going to press Control-0 or Command-0 on the Mac in order to center my artwork, click off of it to deselect it. And that, folks, is how you create compound paths, extremely practical objects that you will be using all of the time inside Illustrator.